Hello, beautiful beings. It's so lovely to be with you all today. How's it going? Feel free to let me know. I have been noticing some really great themes coming about. I've noticed a lot of big energy shifting personally and collectively, and people having really big, deep conversations about how they're starting to move things and not only identify these deeper patterns that are going on within our human realm, but being able to connect them more to from beyond the subconscious to the spiritual. So it feels like things are really headed in a grand direction of people having more self-awareness, of us being able to meet on a deeper level and a higher frequency simultaneously. So I hope you've been experiencing this as well. My area of contemplation for myself this morning has been pretty cool because I was just thinking about this concept of lost souls. And I think a lot about that movie, What Dreams May Come, and you see Robin Williams go down into the depths of hell to save and find his beloved. And just as he starts to forget himself, his beloved remembers who she truly is. And that's what allows them both to level up. And I think that medicine is important both for the layers within ourselves and especially those of us who are on the sacred union journey. Now, the thing about those who might be lost or not awake, or however you want to refer to it, is they have to be willing to confront their own shadow. They have to be willing to see a greater possibility and be able to work towards every day maintaining a greater state of awareness. For myself, I know that once the door was unlocked, it's been this continual thing. And while I did step back a little bit and kind of settled for things that I knew maybe weren't in my highest good, I also understood that I was feeling called to do that and could articulate that in the moment, being like, this is the choice that just has to be made right now. I know it doesn't make sense, but it's where my spirit is guiding me to go. So, but what I'm seeing is, people who struggle with addiction or who are keeping themselves in this thing, even if they've been given the awareness and the light to come out of it, everything has its time, everything has its season. So that might be a part of their path. It also could just be a choice that their free will, they've decided like it's not worth it to go on that trip or to explore that thing. So I'm not exactly sure why I'm bringing forward those messages. I know for myself, I tend to attract a lot of lost souls, a lot of lost boys, if we will. Uh, and um, I'm not going to do that anymore. I have decided that especially men need to guide their own journey and do the work. And while I will be here as a collaborative component to dive into the depths with, I will not dive into the depths unconsciously anymore with anybody else. So I bring that awareness because it's so much more fulfilling and so much more growth orienting when I'm operating and interacting with beings who are seeking greater awareness, who are on a journey of exploration with their own souls and with each other as well. So I'm bringing forward that message just for myself. I was going to journal it today, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to share these thoughts, and hopefully they resonate with those who tune in and watch. So I did draw a couple cards just because I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to say, but I wanted to bring another layer of message to move through. Apparently, I can't speak this morning. And all right. Ooh, very powerful. Okay, so we've got some really interesting things coming forward. So I first drew, I was told to draw one animal medicine, one inner child medicine, and one subconscious medicine from the Wild Things Oracle that I've just started playing with. So these are the cards I've been working with the longest. And there was my first ever Oracle, medicine card type deck. Now, what I love about alligator medicine And it was interesting because I was told to draw one, but two came out, and one kind of came out in the mystery, right? So the dream catcher kind of shows me that either there's an animal that has been deliberately working with you, that needs to be recalled. Maybe you had a dream of one, or maybe you encountered a wild animal, or maybe, a YouTube video has been coming up about a certain type of animal. Just look to see how the animals speak to you and what's coming forward with this. But this coming up with alligator medicine, now alligator is really interesting because it's something that goes deep and lurks, right? It's kind of in the depths of the subconscious, but it can come up for air and it can make itself known. It can keep its eyes in the wake world while also purging other. So I feel like the medicine with alligator is really about this 1 foot in, 1 foot out of two different realities. And the message that came through for me that I shared on a previous video is that the 5D is here, right? So for myself, it feels like I am hearing and I am seeing more and more every day through the lens of the soul perspective, not of the human perspective. But I still have a human body that's holding certain things and is shedding certain patterns and is feeling, the other reality that may be more 3D, that where people might still be wearing masks or not walking in integrity. Nothing can be hidden in the 5D, and nothing can really, the alligator could be in murky waters, but there's this capacity to be seen or not. So the thing that we're working with now is, where do you want your ears to hear? Where do you want your eyes to see? Where do you want your voice to speak? To what level do you want to penetrate? Ooh, penetrate. Do you want to activate people's souls? And not just or to act, where do you want to activate someone's consciousness, I guess, is the better way of phrasing things. So as you work with this alligator medicine is also a very feminine medicine. I know it doesn't seem that there's like a maternal component to alligator that often comes up for me, and I'm not sure exactly how to relate that. It's just like this very, it's a protective mother. It's an embodied thing. Like, I think because alligators, the way they move, there's so much on the earth, and they're very much like, they're grounded to the earth and to the realms of the subconscious, into the water, and they can sleek into that, and then they can sleek back out and come and be very, when you see an alligator, there is a clear presence that comes with it that's coming forth. So to me, there is a medicine here of embodying that feminine energy, embodying that soul energy of being able to activate and explore the realms of the subconscious, uh, and even the unconscious realms as well. The deeper you go, the more you can start to see. So trusting your gifts in that. Now, what came up for the inner child, and I think this is the lesson that's coming up, is the Child of Swords, so the Page of Swords. Now, of course, this is a portrayal of Pinocchio, really seeing himself in the mirror. And what I see when I see this image, it's he's pointing to his nose, which kind of lights up, and it's almost, we don't see what his face is, but it's almost like his reflection doesn't quite match the being that he is, and he's calling out this old reflection. It's like the delayed mirror. I do these calls and I'm recording them on Zoom, and there's a delayed component. I'm looking at myself in real time, but there's still a mirror component. So it's like, if I were to be like, oh, it's you, and calling out myself within the mask. So I'm not sure if I'm communicating these things great today, but what I see in this is like, that's who you were, and that was not true. Sorry, I'm pointing at you aggressively. Not to you. But this is this is Pinocchio's thing. He has to decide that he wants to become a real boy. So if that's a metaphor for our soul's journey, or even from being in the 3D, It's like to be a real human and to be the real human that's moving forward, we have to embody our souls. To be a real human is to be in integrity with the spiritual, with the soul, like with that true inner guidance, and to walk that path, because the more that we engage that, the more alchemical we become, and the more that we can do within the 3D realm, and the more our soul can experience, because by being in this physical body, we have a connection to senses that we don't have when we're in spirit or when we're not in human form. So it's like having a body as an alchemical container to create and do more. Of course, it's a big responsibility. I mean, to just to really think about how many things had to happen for us to exist in the form that we're currently in is a huge freaking miracle, so to honor this form, to honor the body that we're in, to honor this opportunity that we have to live and express in this way is so beautiful. I know for myself, there's been so much just sitting back and just, the feeling of my dog's fur, the cuddling of their warmth, and embracing and being grateful for every moment. I had that a lot when I would, I think when two people make love or like we get to intimate, like there's such a sacredness in that unfolding because it's just this moment in time where two beings really get to explore and be present with each other with all of the senses when it's truly engaged. And when two beings have that same amounts of presence, there's a complete expansion that occurs. And even the sacredness of giving my dog the bath, or, I was thinking about what it would be like when I have a baby, and just like every bath is so sacred. It's like this moment in time. And it's so easy for us to, in these human forms, to get lost in the redundancy, but it's every day is a miracle. Every day is an alchemical container to feel joy, to feel love, to feel sorrow, to feel grief. One of my family members lost their partner this morning, and I just was sitting with that for her, and I'm like, wow, like the initiations of grief. And I worked with, I think I did a psychic reading or something with somebody once, and they were like, grief isn't real. And I'm like, how dare you dismiss the beauty of the feelings of the human experience? Now, of course, emotion is energy. Emotion, we want to stay fluid with those things. We don't want to stay stuck forever in the energy of grief. But the emotions are teachers. They're grand ways to, like, they're almost like the keys that help us access greater parts, not only of our physical being, but of our ancestral lineage. And how fun it is to be able to access this and remember this while we're in this form. And the knowledge is power. So the more you know, the more you're able to access. I was speaking with another friend who, he was talking about I had sent him something to change a file over, and he's like, "Well, I did end up reading it. I wasn't snooping, but I was just curious." And da da da. And I was like, you never have to apologize or like defend yourself with that. I think the more that we're transparent, the better. And like to have that curiosity is beautiful because that shows a depth of wanting to understand another person's journey. It shows the depths of wanting to understand another like human way of doing things, and it just deepens our understanding. So it's like the more we're able to access, that's what's cool about a lot of the internet. And, it's just like, why, what's up with all the passwords and things? And of course, we can't misuse that information. We have to use it responsibly and, with integrity. But really, if it's coming from this place of deeper awareness, how incredibly powerful. So to me, this shows that, like, the medicine that's coming with the alligator is bringing the lesson of the Pinocchio, of stepping into that true self, of becoming, an embodied soul in a human form. And not being just a puppet, because we are puppets until we start to wake up, until we start to deliberately engage our awareness. And that is always getting unlocked. And, I'm curious for some, is that predestined? This isn't meant to happen in this way. And I think it depends on your will and your willingness to want to explore and deepen. And that same willingness is also about confronting shadows. And that is not easy work, to look at the depths of your being and want to wake up from that, or have to face that, and face it with others. It's so easy to be in these realms of shame or defensiveness or whatever, and we can have those sensations come up, but we have to realize that anything that's trying to stop us or like keep us closed ultimately isn't serving us. Now, what's funny that I say that because the next card is protect your boundaries, okay? So there's so much work for me around this lately. And a lot of that for myself is it's really coming through a third eye end of activation for myself where I'm cutting through the layers of the bullshit and the ego and I'm just seeing the part of the person that is getting activated. So, whether it's a part of their shadow or a wounded inner child or just a little bit of shame, like I'm seeing these pieces almost like, little characters or little tiny masks that, but almost like just eye masks. Like it's like you're not even hiding that well. It's like a little masquerade, like no one will identify me at this party, or like a tiny mustache being like, oh, you couldn't possibly know this is who I am. Um, and for me, being able to cut through that and just see these levels of transparency has been so incredibly healing for myself because a lot of the penetrations of boundaries are coming from people who aren't creating healthy boundaries with themselves. They're not holding them themselves in an accountable container to move forward. So when someone isn't doing that, it's just that's why fences are put up. It's like, okay, this is my land. We respect that. And then somebody doesn't respect it, or maybe you're not even respecting your own land. So you put up a fence, saying this is the boundary I assert so that I can stay safe, or so that this part of the thing can do that. I know for myself, there's also like the testing of boundaries and the play. I had a full cycle, of an of a relationship that came to a close, and the relationship began with him saying, "You know what? I don't just want to be your handyman," and the relationship. After a month of having been separated, he come back. He's like, you can still call me to come fix stuff. I'm like, 2 years. 2 years, you could have just stayed my handyman, you know? Um, and I'm still processing the work around that. But the boundaries of like my initial response to that is like, well, I wasn't ready for anything but the handyman, but I wanted to be available for something more. But really, like it wasn't aligned. So boundaries, I really think, are listening deeper every moment to what is it that you need and how can you stand up for your need? How can you walk away towards what you need? How can you be with your need? Also, how can you listen to other people's needs and really assess how that dances with yours? I think there is a tendency, especially with us like healer empathic folk, we really just want to keep showing up for those. And I'm starting to step back and just say, like, they can't see it. They don't see it yet, whether they are choosing not to, or they just don't want to, or that's just not where their soul's at. It's a big thing to step back and let them have their process and know that you can't be a part of the journey because where you're moving forward. We reach levels of transparency that people who cannot show up with that level, it's very hard to interact with them. And unfortunately, that means like the changing our dynamics with those around us. And I think as more and more people and the collective is waking up in bigger ways, we're really having to be mindful and almost like little detectives of our own inner landscape to be able to sense where people are at and if they're not only able to meet us, but if they're able to play with us, and then walking away from those on the playground who can't. I heard a friend again the other day say something of like, oh, they're not getting the joke, so I'm going to keep making it until they do. And as a professional comedian, I would say that usually doesn't work. Usually the joke is not in integrity if it's not being received. Now, it might be received by that one person, and that's the reason that one joke is in there. But if you keep playing the same game with the same people and you don't feel like it's getting you anywhere or it's not bringing you anything, then it's okay to walk away. So protect your boundaries. Be your brave little possum toad troll. That's the message of today. Be your brave little possum told Tro and protect your boundaries. embrace your inner alligator and really continue to become a real boy. So I hope these messages resonated with you. It was really nice to bring them through, and I hope you have a blessed day. Feel free to like, subscribe, send me an email if you'd like to do a personal session where we can drop into your individual energies and what's dancing in your life and do some clue reading work around that. All right. Well, I wish you many blessings. Haley at prismhealers@gmail.com. That's Prism, not Prism. It's in the comments below or you get it. All right. Oh.